Man, if you watch that matchup, you know exactly what I'm talking about. From the very first defensive series, it felt like Houston came out with a purpose, every defender flying in sync like they were tied together by the same rope. You could see how, while they layered the zones, how they squeezed every inch of space, how they made even simple routes look like uphill battles. That unit played with swagger, with urgency, with the kind of confidence that says, we know exactly who we are. And honestly, it brought back memories of those early Buffalo defenses that thrived on discipline and relentlessness. Nothing flashy, nothing wild, just a group of guys who understood their assignments and played every snap like it actually mattered. They weren't guessing. They were reacting. They were thriving. And the Bills' offense, which has been wobbling all season long, looked like it walked straight into a brick wall. That lack of rhythm that's been haunting them for weeks showed up again. So much hesitation, so much uncertainty, and not enough threats to scare a defense like the one they were facing. They've been stubborn about their identity for months, and when a defense forces you to adjust, but you keep trying to be the same team you've always been, this is the kind of afternoon you get. There were moments where Buffalo dialed up some beautiful concepts, well-designed stuff that created just enough separation for a shot. And they were close, really close on a bunch of plays. But against a defense playing at that level, close means nothing. You have to hit those throws. You have to finish drives. You have to be perfect in the details, and the Bills were nowhere near perfect. Every time the offense went into straight drop-back mode, reading through progressions instead of leaning into designed looks, you could feel the mismatch. Houston's coverage married perfectly with their rush, and that combination overwhelmed Buffalo over and over again. The offensive tackle matchup completely flipped the script in this game. Everyone hyped up the battle on the edges, and it turned into a long day for Buffalo. You expected a back-and-forth heavyweight exchange, but it ended up looking like one side entered the ring blindfolded. Spencer Brown and Dion Dawkins struggled from the opening series, and even though Brown gutted it out while dealing with that shoulder issue, the truth is that even before he was hurting, he wasn't holding his ground. The numbers tell the story, but the eye test told it even earlier. Buffalo needed help on the edges, and the help never came. And that's where the frustration kicks in. Because when it's obvious that your tackles are drowning against elite pass rushers, sticking with five-man protection on nearly every non-play action throw makes absolutely no sense. Nearly every time the Bills dropped back, it was those five linemen on their own. No extra bodies, no support, no adjustments. Even when the backup right tackle had to step in, nothing changed. Your tackles are losing. Your quarterback is under siege. Your offense can't get into rhythm. And still, no reinforcements. That decision shaped the entire flow of the game, and the damage snowballed. But even with all the chaos, the Bills still managed to put themselves in position to win at the end. That's the maddening part. One fumble from Shakir set them back. One interception from Josh on a play where the defender just made an incredible read. A few missed throws by inches. A couple of penalties at the worst possible time. And yet, in spite of the misfires and the pressure and the frustration, Buffalo had opportunities in those final minutes to steal it. The final sequence will stick with people, but honestly the play before the interception is the one that lingers for me. That ball that Will Anderson tipped at the line had a first down written all over it. Maybe even more. If Josh gets that ball just a bit higher, everything changes. Then you get the fade to Gabe along the sideline, where he just can't sneak that second foot down. They were right there, standing at the door, knocking, but never pushing it open. And this has become a pattern. Buffalo keeps ending up in these moments where the offense has a chance to close the deal and can't get the final punch in. Whether earlier defensive lapses put them behind, or the offense spent too many drives spinning its wheels, they keep arriving at these high-pressure moments needing one play, and it keeps slipping away. Then there's that fourth-and-game call. Running mesh in that situation made absolutely no sense. That concept requires time because the crossers need to clear. You need the protection to hold up long enough for everything to develop underneath. And in a game where your protection had been collapsing from the start, calling a play that forces your quarterback to hold the ball longer is the opposite of what you should be doing. It's fourth and season, fourth in your entire margin for error. You call something that gets the ball out fast, something that gives Josh a quick answer. Instead, they leaned into the exact weakness that had been killing them all afternoon. Sometimes mesh is great. Sometimes it creates easy throws and natural separation. But when you're running it because your receivers can't consistently win on their own and your line can't hold the edge, you're basically hoping for magic, hoping for a break, hoping something opens. In that moment, you needed control, not hope. And yet, even with all that, the run game was sitting there waiting to be used more. They were getting 6 yards to carry. The fronts Houston showed absolutely dared Buffalo to run. Light boxes, wide alignments, open lanes practically begging for the ball to be handed off. James Cook was slicing through those looks all night. Over 70% of his carries came against 7-man or lighter boxes, and the success rate was fantastic. Every sign pointed toward leaning on the ground game more, especially with how shaky the pass protection was. But the Bills kept forcing the ball through the air and letting the game drift back toward the exact thing Houston wanted them to do. And in a matchup that never got out of hand, where the score was always close, there was no reason not to keep pounding the ball. When your quarterback is fighting pressure every drop back, when your tackles are getting pushed back into him, when the opponent is giving you run-friendly fronts, that is the moment to lean on the ground attack. Instead, Buffalo kept trying to throw their way out of trouble, and it cost them. Even the highlights that will be remembered, like that wild 4th and 27 lateral, end up feeling empty because they didn't lead to a win. Just like so many incredible plays in past seasons that get erased by the final score, this one becomes just another moment swallowed by the frustration of missed opportunities. And as much as the second half looked better for the defense, you can't ignore how rough the start of the game was. It's been a theme, falling behind early, tightening up late, and then hoping the offense can dig its way out. This time, the offense couldn't deliver at the end, and all those earlier mistakes felt 10 times heavier. And as the game wore on, the frustration around this defense kept building because you could feel that strange contrast between the first half and the second half. Early on, it looked like the unit had stepped onto the field without the same urgency or physical edge they showed in previous weeks. The Texans dictated the tempo, controlled the intermediate zones, and made Buffalo chase the ball instead of attacking it. There were way too many snaps where the linebackers hesitated, where the defensive backs were stuck in recovery mode instead of triggering downhill, and where the front four lost leverage because Houston kept showing new wrinkles in the run game. They were late to diagnose, late to close, and late to recognize the setups that were unfolding right in front of them. And the worst part is that the Texans didn't do anything overly complicated. They were just sharper, quicker, and more connected early. But then something changed after halftime. You could see a different type of energy, almost like someone flipped a switch in the locker room. Suddenly the defensive line started winning their one-on-one battles. Linebackers started playing downhill instead of reacting, and the secondary tightened up its coverage on every release. The communication got cleaner, the tackling got more consistent, and the Texans stopped getting free yards on simple concepts. It was the type of surge that tells you the talent is still there, the pride is still there, and the defensive standard hasn't disappeared. The problem is that it came after an entire half of football where Houston got to establish everything they wanted, and by the time Buffalo settled in, the margin for error had already shrunk to almost nothing. And that is what made the ending so tough to swallow. Because even with that sluggish start, even with all the miscues on offense, even with the struggles in pass protection and the stretches of slow defensive recognition, the team still found itself staring at multiple chances to steal that game. Those late opportunities were right there, sitting on the table. And over again, Buffalo just couldn't close the deal. Whether it was a missed throw, a drop, a pressure that collapsed the pocket half a second too early, or a defender failing to seal the edge, every small mistake stacked up. In the biggest moments, you need to be the sharper team, the calmer team, the more prepared team. And Buffalo just wasn't. The deeper you look into the defensive snaps, the clearer it becomes that the coaching staff wanted to lean heavily on the nickel look and force the Texans to beat them with long drives. But the problem with that approach is that it only works if the tackling is flawless and the pass rush is consistent. The tackling wasn't great early, and the pass rush didn't heat up until well after Houston built rhythm. That gap in execution left the secondary dealing with way too many extended coverage situations. You could see the corners and safeties fighting to stay plastered to their assignments. But when the quarterback keeps finding an extra second here, an extra half window there, those drives stay alive. And once they stay alive, you end up defending twice the number of plays you expected. There are bright spots, though. You could see some individuals trying to drag the unit forward, trying to spark something on the sideline, trying to anchor the defense when things got shaky. The problem wasn't effort. The problem was timing. Every strong moment seemed to be followed by one that knocked the momentum loose again. Every quick third down stop was followed by a penalty that extended a drive. Every tackle for loss was followed by a chunk gain. There was no rhythm, no sustained pressure, no consistent stretch where the defense dictated the terms. Everything felt reactionary until the second half, and by then the scoreboard was already working against them. And when you look at this game in the bigger picture, it becomes another chapter in a season full of small margins and missed moments. Buffalo keeps finding itself in these razor-thin situations where they have a chance to flip the narrative, to land the final punch, to finish the drive, or finish the defensive stand. And they keep coming up just short, not because of one glaring weakness, but because of a combination of small breakdowns that keep stacking up at the wrong times. It is death by 1,000 little cuts. One blown assignment here, one protection bust there, one hesitation on a slant, one miscommunication on a switch release, one missed tackle in the open field. All of those little details add up, especially against teams that play disciplined football. And maybe the most frustrating part is the flashes of what this team still can be. When the defense tightened up in the second half, you saw something familiar. You saw the speed, the instincts, the communication, the urgency. You saw a unit that, when dialed in, can suffocate an offense. The issue is not ability. The issue is consistency. You can't spot good teams an entire half and expect to dominate the rest of the way. You can't leave your offense hanging when the protection is crumbling. And you can't shrug off missed opportunities when the season is hanging in the balance. Every drive matters. Every snap matters. And the Bills are learning that the hard way again. Even the substitutions on defense told the story of a unit trying to adjust on the fly. Rotations were heavier than usual on the interior because the Texans kept forcing Buffalo to defend wide formations and quick releases. When the pass rush couldn't get home early, the coaches tried to shuffle fresh bodies into the mix, hoping someone would catch fire. The problem is that the rhythm of the front suffered in the process, and without a stable push up the middle, the edge rushers were forced to win on longer, wider paths. That gave the Texans quarterback far too much time to move within the pocket and find those soft spots in zone coverage. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Explosive whispers are shaking the NFL world tonight as Sean McDermott reportedly dropped a bombshell that has sent Bills fans into a frenzy. Sources close to the team suggest that the star player has made it crystal clear he will never pull on the Bills jersey again. The tension between McDermott and the organization has been simmering for weeks, but insiders hint that things reached a boiling point behind closed doors. While official statements remain elusive, the chatter around training facilities and locker rooms paints a vivid picture. McDermott's patience has run out, and his departure may be imminent. Speculation is already swirling about what led to this dramatic decision. Some insiders point to internal disagreements over strategy, while others whisper about contract frustrations and promises that allegedly went unfulfilled. McDermott's explosive comments, though not fully disclosed to the public, are said to leave no room for negotiation. If these rumors hold any weight, the Bills could be facing not just a loss on the field, but a seismic shift in locker room dynamics. Fans are divided. Some are heartbroken at the potential exit of a franchise cornerstone, while others see this as a wake-up call for the organization to reevaluate its priorities. Meanwhile, social media has become a whirlwind of speculation, with hashtags trending and theories flying faster than any pre-game highlight reel. Analysts are already mapping out potential landing spots for McDermott, and the buzz is only intensifying as teams across the league are rumored to be circling, waiting to make a move. The ripple effects of this declaration extend far beyond Buffalo, raising questions about team culture, leadership, and how one player's discontent can reshape an entire franchise. For now, the NFL universe watches with bated breath. Will the Bills be able to salvage this relationship, or is this truly the end of an era? One thing is certain. The name Sean McDermott will dominate headlines for weeks to come, and every fan, pundit, and rival executive will be scrutinizing every detail of what may be the most dramatic shakeup in recent league memory. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.